Well, hi everyone. You know what? It's such a beautiful day today. I decided to shoot outside. So let's hope that the noise level stays down. But first of all, I wanted to let you know that I was walking my dog around the neighborhood the other day when one of my neighbors came running down their driveway saying, "Hey, Luane, wait up. I'm thinking about putting a pool in my backyard. Do you think that that would be a good investment?" My immediate thought was, is this a trick question? Before I answer that question, I do want to tell you, though, that there are two different categories of homeowners. And the first category are people who have recently purchased their home within the last 1 to 3 years, and or 1 to 5 years even maybe, and plan to stay there for possibly another 10 years or so. So they're there for the long haul. And then you have people like myself who are, have life changes coming up and they may be considering selling their home in the next 1 to 5 years. Because trust me, the answers for both of these categories are as different as night and day. Why was my answer to the pool question no? When it comes to putting in a pool, first of all, we live in Michigan. It's cold here in Michigan from about the end of September until about April or so, and you really can't swim here until after Memorial Day because then the water's finally warm enough to swim. So you really can only use your pool for about 3.5 months out of every year here in Michigan. I also happen to know that our neighbors have lived in their home for over 25 years and that their youngest just graduated from college. I would have pegged them for probably getting ready to downsize as opposed to adding a $40 to $50,000 pool in their backyard. And I realize in some places like California or Florida, having a swimming pool is almost as important to buyers as having a furnace is to buyers in Michigan. And there are some buyers in Michigan who actually don't want a pool. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still plenty of pools in Michigan. And in fact, we put one in at a home that we owned about 20 years ago. And then unfortunately, we only lived in that home another 2.5 or 3 years before we sold it. And boy, we really felt like we'd left a lot of money on the table. And especially when we were looking at our return of enjoyment or our ROE and not just our return on investment. Because isn't it true that our homes are both an investment and a place of enjoyment? So let's talk a little bit about ROE. Now, if this particular family were younger, maybe just bought the home, they have some kids and they plan on living there for maybe 10 or 15 years minimally, my answer would have been completely different because I know the years of enjoyment they would have gotten out of that pool would eventually have trumped any investment that they made. And then when you go to sell the property, an appraiser is going to come along and he's going to look at your house and then the one next to you that may be exactly like your home, except it doesn't have a pool, and he might give you $20,000 more on the appraisal because your home does have a pool. But at that point, what does it matter? Because you've had the pool for so long and you've gotten so much enjoyment out of it. I know we enjoyed our pool, and I didn't find it to be too much work. But if, like me, you stayed in that house for only a couple of years, luckily we only invested about 25 or 30,000, but that still was, a 10 to 12,000 dollar a year expense if you break it out over the 3 years. It's really a balancing act. So if you plan on selling your home in the next 1 to 5 years, I don't recommend making any costly customizations to it, like adding a swimming pool. It could not only make your home harder to sell because people don't want a pool, but you could be leaving thousands on the table when it comes to reselling. So let's get into some of the home renovations that give you the biggest return on your investment. If you're going to be selling in the next 1 to 5 years and your house is looking a little tired, you're going to want to stick with what I call like a facelift or renovation light, if you will. You're going to get to know a paintbrush really well because you're going to be doing a lot of painting. You can change out your light fixtures, your faucets, even the mirrors in your bathrooms will give such a updated look to your home. But you're going to keep your existing vanities, just repaint them. Any fixtures that are currently in the bathroom or kitchen would stay as well as long as they're in good repair. And remember that it isn't all about your investment. And let me explain. If you love to cook and you have always dreamed of a chef's kitchen, and you've been in your home a year or two and the kitchen does need an update, you plan to stay there for a while, it could well be worth it for you to spend $40 to $50,000 renovating that kitchen, as opposed to maybe $5,000 to do a light facelift on it. Do you know that the National Association of Realtors says that the average kitchen remodel is $150,000? And in general, on a full remodel, you're maybe getting back about 75% of that on the resale, or 75 cents of every dollar. Now, that's pretty high. I would say a kitchen renovation in my area is probably between $40,000 and $60,000. So don't do the renovations for the new buyers. Do them because you're going to get enjoyment out of them. And it's going to make your home more livable for you. Because if you're in that kitchen just cooking up a storm and having a great time with your family, you're not going to be worrying about how much money you're going to get back on the investment of a new kitchen in your home. Now, I've developed some questions that you should probably ask yourself when you're considering making a renovation to your home. And of course, the first one is, how long have you been there and how long do you plan on staying? How much does this renovation cost? And then the next question will go with this one. And are you planning on doing any of the work yourself, or will you be hiring it all out? Because it is a lot easier to justify a $3,000 project than a $30,000 project. Now, you don't have to get too into this, but you do want to consider it. With this change, will my home become more or less attractive to a new buyer? And here's a good case in point. I had a client that sold her home, and right next door to it was a ranch style home that went on the market. And this is a neighborhood full of 3 and 4 bedroom homes. Some are ranch, some are colonial. And the people who owned the ranch had done a really beautiful renovation on the upstairs of it. However, they removed one of the bedrooms upstairs. So now the house was a 2 bedroom home, and the master bath had an ensuite, which was the 3rd bedroom. Well, that was lovely, except most families want everybody on the same floor in most situations. And the basement was not really equipped with a means of egress. So if you live in Michigan and you finish your basement and you want to have a bedroom down there, it's got to have 3 things. It's got to have 2 means of egress, which means like a window or uh, an egress system on a window. It's got to have a door, and it's got to have a closet. And if it doesn't have a means of egress, aside from the door to the bedroom, it cannot be counted as a bedroom. So you have space to make a bedroom downstairs if you wanted to, but for a lot of people, that would be a deal breaker. For some people, that may be an ideal situation, but you are limiting your pool of buyers for that particular neighborhood because of the fact that you altered the floor plan in a way that makes it not as appealing to a family. And it is a family neighborhood. And then lastly, does it change the way that your home looks in the neighborhood? Uh, a good example is maybe adding something to the front of your home that nobody else in the neighborhood has, or painting your color like, shocking your home, shocking pink, or a really bright teal blue, something like that, that just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Nobody wants to be that house in the neighborhood that everyone kind of goes by and go, oh, what is this? And then the last question is, how easy is it to remove this customization if it can be removed? For instance, you'll notice on some of my videos that I have a navy blue that kind of films purple wall in my regular shooting area. And a lot of people have said, oh my gosh, I hate your wall. That color's atrocious. And that's all fine. However, if I was going to put my house on the market in a couple of days, it would literally take me 4 hours to paint that wall and put it back to normal. I once had a client who wanted to put a putting green in, and he wanted to do this for his own enjoyment. He didn't know how long he'd be there, and it wasn't really all that expensive of a renovation. And he just decided that if the buyers didn't like it, he could, take it out, or, he would take what he could with him and took it out beforehand. And that was really awesome for him. And it's a cool little amenity if you're into golf. But if you're not, then that amenity has no value to you. So you want to keep the cost of those types of things low. Now let's talk about some things that actually give you big bang for your bucks. One of the first ones is new wood floors. If you put new wood floors into your home, you can expect a return on investment of 100%. If you refinish your existing wood floors, that goes up to 147%. Finishing your basement will bring you 86% return on investment, but don't put too much money into that basement. And painting the interior of your house will bring you 107% return on investment. And if you can do the work yourself and the wall looks better after you painted it than before you started, you can bump that up to 200%. Kitchen and bathrooms will generally yield about a 75% on a full remodel. And did you know that if you do a renovation light or a facelift, and this is for those people living in their homes 5 years or less, that it's a 67% return. So you're really only getting about 8% on more to do the entire renovation and spending a lot more. Another area that is frequently overlooked is landscaping, where you get a 100% return on investment. So put more mulch in your flower beds. Plant beautiful plants. Keep it weeded. Keep it looking nice. You want your home to be the home that people go by and say, oh, wow, that's a really beautiful home, not what were they thinking. Even replacing your garage door can make a huge difference with a 90% return on investment. And if you think about it, and I never did before, when you pull up in front of a home, usually the garage door is down, and that's the first part of the home that you really see up close is the garage door. I did this the other day when I was showing a property, and the garage door was all dinged up. There were paint, looked like things had hit it, bikes or other things. So there was like colors of paint that had transferred onto it. One of the panels looked like it had broken and it was kind of sagging, and it really wasn't a very good look. And the rest of the house looked fantastic. I just don't think they thought about the garage door. It might have even been up when they were working on their home. So don't forget about that garage door. And if it needs to be replaced, feel free to do so because it's not going to really cost you that much because you'll get a lot back on your return on investment. Another area that people who've lived in their homes often ask us about, and this is if they haven't replaced their roof, is do I need to? I mean, I know my roof is old. It's not leaking, but it's probably going to have to be replaced in the next, 5 years or so. Most lenders just want to see that there's a few years left on the roof. I mean, obviously, if the roof is leaking, that's going to get noted in your home inspection and you're going to have to deal with it, but it doesn't always mean replacing a roof. So maybe have somebody come out and take a look at it, make sure that it's sound and doesn't have any leaks, and you'll be disclosing the age of the roof on your seller's disclosure, so your buyers will be aware that it might need a new roof down the road, and they can plan accordingly. But it's a very big investment to put on your home just to move out. And it's the same thing with windows. They should be in good working order. They should be clean. They should have the window tracks, sills all cleaned out, but you don't need all of those top of the line options. Think small updates like new door hardware, painting your door, repairing it if it has dents in it, removing old outdated carpet that is filthy and replacing it with hardwood, ripping down the granny wallpaper with all the flowers. It's all faded and been there since 1973. And let's not forget about cleaning. You will get a huge return on your investment by having your home deep cleaned. Because trust me, a clean house just sells faster. So, my neighbor, if you're planning to sell soon, you might want to skip the pool. But if you're in there for the long haul, dive in. I really hope you found this video helpful. Please hit like and subscribe. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or build, reach out. My contact information is below, and I'm sure that I can help you.